Yeah, I mean, I guess when you step away from worrying about what other people do and learn to do what makes you comfortable, maybe that's a nice place to be. Mistakes, you know, definitely become, I suppose, the gateway to change. In the fact that if you practice with a degree of perfection where you're unwilling to accept anything going wrong, I think that you always get a very similar result. Not only to what you do all of the time, but also to what the people that you copy from in the way that you choose to learn do. And then the idea of your own sound and your own feel becomes pretty lost, I suppose. And if I had to make a comment about what I think is possibly a really big difference between the years today and, you know, where we've come from, is actually that sharing has made things less diverse. I can't see that, you know, in the 70s that bands like the Rolling Stones sat around and obsessed over what Led Zeppelin did and tried to learn and imitate off of them. I really would imagine that they so wanted their own style and their own voice that they really distanced themselves as far as they could. And in that, produced a unique sound. I reckon with a lot of David Gilmour's stuff, and I suppose lots of artists anyway, you could never make some of the stuff up. You just have to play and ultimately make an error that leads you to do something that you wouldn't have done in that key or with the time or something along those lines. So yeah, it's a different way of seeing things, I suppose. But being overly involved in what other people are doing and trying to imitate them, I expect, is one of the sources of the lack of diversity. See, that shouldn't be there, that minor third. But then it comes down to what I know, and I'll just experiment. So one of the things when I run into a minor third that shouldn't have been there is the fact that I'll do this tone, semitone, tone, semitone scale, which will take me up to an augmented triad. And it's an advantage of just mucking around and playing on your own and not having to be compliant with a band, bass player, anything like that, because when you end up just taking your own road, everyone else has to be on board, or else I guess there's friction. But that's what comes from, you know, long-term relationships in music and people understanding how it all works for them. So you've got a D here and you've got an E minor. And if you just play the outline of the 1, 3 and the 5 and the 1 of the D and the 1, 3 and the 5 and the 1, 3, 7 of the E minor, you could be in the key of G, where the Aeolian was the E minor and then the D was the dominant 7 Mixolydian. But it's quite easy to say that D was the Ionian, and then this E minor is Dorian, which makes the A there the dominant 7, So there's Ionian, Dorian, Mixolydian. But you'll hear, when you go back to the Ionian, it's a little bit blah. So look at the Dorian, the E minor, ask the one question, what's the 1, 4 and 5 of the Dorian? Yeah, and you'll find with the 3-bar method, 3-string method on the small bar, that there's the 1 and there's the 4. So Dorian's 1 is Dorian, its 4 is Mixolydian, and its 5 is Aeolian. And that sounds a lot better than Ionian to Dorian to the dominant 7 back to the Ionian, because that just keeps pulling up the momentum of it. But like I said, that could easily be the Aeolian. 1, 3, 5, 7 Aeolian. The 4 is the Dorian. 1, 3, 5, 7. That's your Ionian. And then Phrygian. Yeah? So D in E minor can easily hang out in the key of D, where A and G, and F sharp minor, Phrygian. But E minor and D can also easily hang out in G, where the B is a Phrygian, whereas in the key of D major, the B would have been the Aeolian. The Aeolian there in D major. D dominant 7, which is in G, and B, which is now the Phrygian, Dorian, and here's Locrian, Aeolian, Ionian. So we've got G again, we've got a G with a 6. Yeah? Our B minor in G is the Phrygian. And you remember that before the F sharp minor, which is the Locrian in G, was F sharp minor Locrian. If I change that to D, the F sharp minor was the Phrygian. Now onto the Mixolydian A, onto the Lydian G. Yeah, 1, 3, 5, that's Ionian. Lydian 1, 3, sharp 4, 5, and then Ionian. So resolved to the key of D. But then if you look at the reverse scale, you know, and you come up to D major, and you know that if you reverse the D major, if you come down with the same pattern that you went up with, you're going to come down in a Phrygian, right? And if that's the Phrygian, so we've got D major, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, yeah? Root, tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. And that's D major, G minor, A major, maybe B minor. How about F sharp minor? How about C sharp Locrian? And there's also C full diminished. Yeah? And then onto B Aeolian. But an easy key change, isn't it? Is to say, okay, so D Phrygian what key has D Phrygian as the third? Right? And I know that D is the fourth of A, so it must be A sharp. So if I go up in D major, and then I want to change the key, and it's going to go to A sharp, I can play a reverse scale root, tone, tone, semitone, tone, tone, semitone, yeah? Now I'm in A sharp. And I can test that by going to A sharp, D sharp, E sharp, and I just went up by a semitone, easily modulated. Yeah? D major. Where the A is the Mixolydian, dominant 7. And now come down in the Phrygian. And you're in the key of A sharp. With no problems at all. So now that I'm in the key of A sharp, obviously if I do that move again, I'll go up to the key of B. But just for shits and giggles, where's the 6 of A sharp is there? Okay, Aeolian, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5. Aeolian. Now if you reverse Aeolian, so if it's not root, tone, tone, semitone, tone, tone, yeah? If you reverse that, you get the Mixolydian. So now I'm at G Mixolydian. So what that means is G Mixolydian, F sharp, yeah, key of C. So if you run through that, you go D major, come down in D Mixolydian, D Phrygian, to the Ionian of A major, back to its 6, and now change that note and reverse the scale. Yeah, F Lydian. So now I'm in C major. C major, Mixolydian, to the 6, Mixolydian, 1, 3, 5, 6. Doesn't make it sound bluesy because I'm not hitting the 7, but I could go 1, 3, 5, 7, yeah, tone, up to G, and G just happens to be the 5th of C. Right, now how did I get to C? I got to C because I took the Mixolydian, I reversed it, and it was an Aeolian. So if I just swap that around and go up to the Ionian, and then from the 3rd, which is the Phrygian, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, Ionian, tone, tone, semitone, Phrygian, but I started with that as D major. So root, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, tone. Yeah, so that's one of the things that you can do, is use what you know to move around, I suppose, and have a different type of experience. There's D major now, see? B-A-O-N. Back to D major. B-A-O-N. G Lydian. A Mixolydian. Now that's your Aeolian, but I'm thinking of it as a sixth of D. Just some ideas to think about.